Hello everyone, it's Erica here from Me Too Paper Crafts, and I wanted to show you this card that I just made. I had done a little Easter basket project that I'm going to do a video on for you. And while I had the tulip stamp set out, I decided to make this card. This is called the Timeless Tulips, and it comes bundled with a tulip punch, so that you can cut out the tulip as well as the tulip leaves, or you can actually use this leaf to build up your tulip to give it some dimension. Now I should also mention to you that we have this great designer series paper called Pleased as Punch, and it is available for purchase in my online store. And what I wanted to point out was the fact that it also has a paper that has these beautiful watercolor tulips on here that you can punch out with the punch. So if you're not one who likes to either color or add dimension, then you can simply use these flowers and punch them out. And you could punch out the leaves as well. So for this card, I've got this really unique label on here with a silver embossed greeting, and this is from the So Sentimental stamp set. And this comes bundled with the Stitched So Sweetly dies, which many people have been buying. It's got these fabulous stitched, we all love stitched dies, but these are also with scalloped edges. So I've seen a lot of cards made with this, and I've actually made a couple of boxes using these stitched dies. And then it comes with these label dies, which correspond with the greetings, so that you can make some very simple cards just by perhaps putting some DSP in the background and then putting one of these on with a greeting. So I wanted to show you how to make this card. I was doing something with the ribbon that didn't work out, just because I put this on top so it kind of hid what it was. So I'm going to change this up a little bit for the next card, but we're pretty well making the same card, and I've changed up the colors. So basically what you need is a card base, a layering piece of color, your Whisper White piece that you're going to stamp on, some DSP to go across. I've already pre-cut this in my Call Me Clover color. This is Lovely Lipstick. So the two ink pads we're using is Call Me Clover Lovely Lipstick, and I will emboss again with silver embossing powder the greeting. I will create a blog post for this, and all of the measurements will be on there for you should you decide you wanted to make this card. It's a cute layout, and you can make any number of cards with this. So let's get started with our stamping. So this piece here, all of my pieces are 1/4 of an inch smaller, so if you start with your card base and work up, then you can figure it out on your own. Otherwise, you can check my blog post out. Okay, so we're going to build up. I'm going to start with the tulips. I've got 3 of the tulips here, and we're going to do them all in the same color, the Lovely Lipstick. So I'm going to start with the middle tulip, and I'm going to stamp this close to the top of my paper. Now, I am using photopolymer, so you should use a foam mat underneath. So I'm going to create my tulips now. I'm going to start with the tulip in the center. Let's do the smaller one over like that. These tulips stamp beautifully. Okay, let's do the leaves now in the green. No, not the leaves. Let's do the stem first. I'm going to turn this sideways so that I can see without getting my head in the camera too much. I want to be able to see the top of the, or the, sorry, the bottom of the tulip. Okay, there are our stems, and let's now do some leaves. I'm going to use this skinny leaf because we have 2 leaves to choose from. And maybe we'll just do one more here. Okay, there are our leaves. Now, I want to show you how you can punch out a leaf. Because the punch has these images side by side, if you punch with a piece of paper, like a large piece of paper, you're going to waste part of this. So I want to use a thin piece so that I can just go in and just do the leaf there. Now the important thing is that you stamp the leaf in the same direction that you can punch it out. So you have to turn the punch over and then take your stamp and line it up so that you are punching it out in the right direction. Okay, so it's going to go like that. Can you see that? So what I'm going to do is take my, oh no, I'm not doing green, sorry. Let's just wipe that off. Let's close this. I'm going to do the lovely lipstick. So how did I want this now? I think I wanted it this way. Yes. And I will stamp this towards the bottom of that cardstock. Okay, I'm going to close my ink pad. Let's hope I have no ink on my fingers. And let's punch this out. So now I can just slide this into the punch and line it up and punch. See? So I hardly wasted any paper at all. And if you were doing a whole bunch of them, you would just stamp them all the way up the paper, and then every time you punch it out, you have to cut off that bottom piece so that you can fit it in the punch. Okay? Don't ask me how I got ink all over my card. This card is a little bit of a challenge. There's a little bit of ink up there too. Oh well, I'm going to carry on because I've already done it once, look, on the back. I stamped the one in the purple absolutely perfectly with no ink anywhere. I don't know what's happening with this one. So, actually, I'm going to show you a little tip right now, okay? If you get little spatters of ink on here, I'm going to grab a water brush. So I've got some water in here. And I'm going to grab my ink pad. Now just have a look at this. Let's see what this turns out to be. I'm going to take an acrylic block and I'm going to pick up some ink. I'm going to, let me just grab some paper towel that I have tucked away. Okay, I'm going to get some water flowing. in my brush, and I'm going to pick up, see it's quite watery, I'm going to pick up quite a bit of water, and I'm just going to flick on top of my see, and I'm adding a bit more green. So now it looks intentional. And then to clean this, I'm just going to squirt the water through the brush, through the bristles. Okay, so there's a little tip for you if you make some boo-boos on your card, how you can rectify it. We've also got, you can create sprays with your ink and use alcohol because it dries a little bit faster. And then you can have some different sprays. Use our spritzers. Okay. Alright, so that's that. Now, let's close the ink pad. So, the next thing I want to do is to pull in my paper pieces, and we are going to start building up the card. I'm going to be wrapping some ribbon around this layer, so I'm not going to adhere this to the card base yet. So set that aside. Look how nice that looks on the lovely lipstick cardstock. That looks great. So I can safely, I'm going to glue this down. Bring out my silicone mat and glue this down. This is what I love about our Whisper White cardstock, is that you can, if you make mistakes, you can just flip it over and do it again. And again, I'm going to pull in my grid sheet and line up my cardstock. And then I can position this in between the little 1/4 inch marks on both sides and top and bottom. Look at that. Lovely. Alright, next step is my strip. Now, decision is, do I do this or do I do this? I think I like this. I'm going to do this strip across here, and I think I cut it exactly. Usually when I do strips of paper like this, I cut it a little bit longer just to make sure that it fits, and then I trim it. But this one happened to be, this was actually a scrap, so it was the right size. I like to show the stems at the bottom. I think that's kind of a neat look. So let's put this on. Okay, now I've got this layering piece with the stitching on there. And now I'm going to do the ribbon trick on the greeting part. So the first thing I need to do is stamp and emboss the greeting. So I'm going to grab a piece of Whisper White cardstock here, and I decided to use, on the last card I did the thank you, but on this card I think I want to use sending healing hugs this time. And I'm going to put that on a block. Okay, I'm going to pull out my, I need to put some stuff away here because I'm getting a bit crowded. I'm going to pull out my embossing buddy, just to make sure there's no static on there. Then I'm going to pull out my Versamark, and silver embossing powder, which I have in here. Just a second, please. So I'm going to pull out my greeting, and it's this greeting, or sorry, frame, I mean, or die. So this is the large one that I used to cut out this piece over here. And then I'm going to use this piece to cut out the healing hugs. So I'm going to put this on my cardstock just so that I can see where to stamp my greeting in Versamark. Here we go, like that. Let's cover this up. And then let's put some silver embossing powder on top. Where is it? Oh, there it is. I lost it there for a second. Flick that off, and then I have a little paintbrush on hand just to remove any extra powder that I see. Okay, and now so when I emboss, I try and have good lighting, and I tilt it so that I can see the embossing powder start to shine up so that I don't overheat it. Otherwise, it kind of flattens it a little bit. All right, so we're going to wait for that to cool down. I'll just put my embossing powder away before that ends up all over my desk. It's good to tidy up as you go. Okay, so we're going to cut this out. So I'm going to head on over to my Big Shot, and I'll be right back. Okay, that looks lovely. Now, I want to show you my little ribbon trick. So, we have a punch. This is in the 2020 mini catalog. It's a label punch. We had 2 new label punches. I have the other one here. So we had one called Label Me Lovely, and it coordinates with another stamp set with tags on it. I can't think of the Tags in Bloom, I think it's called, which is actually a celebration item. And then we have this Label Me Fancy punch that coordinates with some other stamp sets with greetings. Now I love to have punches that do greetings because they're fast and easy to use versus always pulling out dies. I mean, I love my dies, don't get me wrong, and I love the stitched dies. They don't seem to do punches with stitching. Now, the unique thing about this one is, I don't know if you can see, but there's a slot here that you can punch out on your cards, and then there's also, you know, a hole punch for punching on perhaps a tag. Okay, so you can thread your ribbon or your baker's twine through. So those are kind of handy. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this, and you see how we have this square section here. So I'm going to line up this square section in where this opening is here. And I'm going to do my best job to eyeball it and punch and just hope for the best. Okay, and I'm going to come on this side and do the same. You could perhaps mark the center. Might be a bit easier, but I'm just going to eyeball it. And that's pretty good. I think that's pretty good. Okay, so what I wanted to do with this is to take my ribbon. I have this lovely lipstick ribbon, and I'm going to thread it. Let's see, I want it to come over this and under and through here on this side. like this. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to do 2 or 3 strands of this and then put it on my card. So I want to figure out my length. I'm going to be wrapping it to the back here. So I'm going to figure out my length, and then I'm going to do a couple more the same length. And let's do one more. Okay, so I'm going to throw this up through here, no, down through here, and up through here. Okay, and down through here, and up through here. I'm designing on the fly here. This is just an idea I have just come up with. Okay, so we'll see how it works out. And I'm going to spread those randomly like that. And then I'm going to make sure they're all going to wrap, which they are. And then I'm going to use good old Scotch tape. Let's try and get that one centered. Okay, and then I'm going to grab a piece of Scotch tape like this, and let me just cut it here like that. Okay, bit of a struggle over there, and then I'm just going to tape it down on the back like that. Okay, and then I'm going to put this on here like this, and then wrap it around the back. So let's put some Tombow glue on here, I think. Here and here. And center this on this green tag, like so. Hold that down. Then pull this piece in and position it centered like that. I want my leaves to show down at the bottom here. So I'm going to line that up along the top of that DSP like that. Okay. And if I was smart, I'll just glue that down. I'm just going to use tape runner. And let's just tape that down centered. Like that along the top of that DSP. Okay, and then we'll wrap these to the back. Might even just stretch them out. Let me put my tape a bit closer so I'm not struggling as much. See if I can pull them all over at the same time. I should have cut them just a tad longer. Maybe I can't do them all at the same time. Doesn't matter, nobody's going to see the tape. Okay, let's do this one now. Let me get all three over at the same time. Yeah, and it sort of coincides with the stripes on the paper. I think I like that. Okay, we're ready to now put this onto our card base, and then our card is finished. And maybe you'll give this design a try. Celebration is ending soon, so if there's anything that you've been seeing in the 2 Celebration catalogs or anything online where people have talked about Celebration, now is the time to try and get them. There are some things that are already sold out, but I believe all the products I used in this video are still available. Okay, now, what am I forgetting? That little extra leaf I made. Am I going to be able to find it? That is always the challenge of the day. And this is going to go on like, let me just check my other one. How did I do that? No, I did it this way. Okay. Let's just curl that top, and then I just used a bit of Tombow along the bottom. And then I positioned it on the tulip like that. And as I always say, la pièce de la résistance is the wink of Stella. J'aime beaucoup le wink of Stella. Just adds a little something something extra. So because my leaf is overlapping here, I'm not going to put wink on the leaf. I'm just going to do it on the actual tulip leaves. Wonderful thing about Wink of Stella is that you can actually paint color with it. All you have to do is I was going to say dip it in ink, but you could do that same technique I showed you earlier. Take an acrylic block, mush it onto your ink pad, and then pick up the color with your Wink of Stella. And you can do some glittery coloring, which is kind of fun. There we go. I don't know if you can see that in the camera. A little bit of Wink of Stella. I think that card turned out okay. Nobody will ever know I had ink splotches on there because I've done that on purpose. So there you go, in all my glory. On the fly videos, you never know what surprise you're going to get in the creation process, but that's just the way I like to go. And I like to keep my audience guessing and hopefully have a few giggles. So thanks again for spending time with me. I hope you'll go ahead and maybe make this card or grab some ideas from this card. If you're enjoying my videos, I do Fun Fold Fridays. So I have a playlist over on my From Me to You Paper Crafts YouTube channel. You can check them out there. Again, if you like what you see, you can subscribe. If you click the little bell, you will get a reminder when I upload a new video. I am planning a series of treat holders for Easter, which are lots of fun. I'll give you a sneak peek of the one I created today. This is the one I created today that I will show you. This I did case from another Stampin' Up! Demonstrator that I saw today, and I thought this was quite cute for lots of treats inside, using the brand new border punch. It's on my desk here somewhere. Everything is always on my desk somewhere. Here it is. This border punch. Isn't it pretty? It makes a great little weave, and I've seen people thread ribbon through there. So there you go. Thanks again, everyone. See you next time.